CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we wanted to share a chat we had with Azie Tesfai, who plays Kelly Olsen and Guardian on a Supergirl. So, Morgan, we didn't have a lot of time with her, but we did get to ask her some very important questions and dig into some really very important Guardian topics that we specifically wanted to ask her about.
Yeah, I think we asked her some hard-hitting questions, to be honest. I think we came out of the gate strong, and we asked her the important stuff. Maybe we talked about the Newsgal Legion.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's a Supergirl Radio interview, so it got weird.
Yeah, so we introduced her to the Newsboy Legion, the Newsgal Legion idea, and she was really impressed. She had a lot of comic book knowledge of Guardian. She
was just dropping the comic book knowledge before we even asked her anything.
Yeah, so that was pretty impressive. And so we had a good chat with Azie, got to ask her a little bit about the writing process and the Guardian suit. So please enjoy this very, very Supergirl Radio chat with Azie Tesfai that might include snap judgments. Welcome to Supergirl Radio, Azie. Thank you so much for being with us today. We know you have a really big episode of Supergirl airing on September 21st titled Blind Spots that features the debut of Kelly Olsen as Guardian. So we're really excited about it. So thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And that debut includes the reveal of Kelly's Guardian suit. And we're very interested in that because we don't get a chance to look at them up close and we don't get to wear them. So we are curious about the suit. So what was the process like to develop Kelly Olsen's Guardian suit? And are there any like really cool things about it that we should know?
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky that we had a good amount of time to do it. I think we had about 6 months to develop it. And actually, we had started the measurement process in LA a couple of years before when they first decided to make Kelly Guardian. But with the pandemic and everything, it was pushed. So we had a good 6 months from the first sketch to design the suit. And I had a list of things that I wanted. And I was really lucky that they all got checked. You know, I really hoped for a half helmet, and we worked with Ironhead, which is the incredible super suit designers that have done both, you know, the first Black Panther and the second one. They did Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman suit. I got to go for this. Yeah. I mean, I was doing my fittings and there was a Wolverine and a Batman costume. It was pretty humbling and incredible. And so they designed the suit, and once they let me know that they could make the half helmet work logistically, that it would stay on my head, then we made it gold, which felt very exciting to keep it comic accurate. I am a huge fan of the second iteration of Guardian with Malcolm Duncan, who was married to Bumblebee, and so a lot of the costume was a tribute to the two of them because they're like my couple goals.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, we have a little Mal Duncan. There's a couple of iterations of Mal Duncan. So there's the Mal Duncan that you're probably familiar with, and then there's also a Mal Duncan named Hornblower or the Herald in the comics. So yeah, Mal Duncan is one of the Guardians. That's really cool that you know about that.
I do. I'm a huge Bumblebee fan. So for me, I was like, this seems like a really healthy partnership, and I went to the deep dive. So then when this came about, I was like, oh, I want to pay homage to the two of them. And then once we did the half helmet, we were like, well, she's so visual as a Black female superhero, and we got to lean into it and do the braids, which I loved. And then I'm East African, I'm Eritrean, and my mom was raised in Ethiopia, and so the gold pieces in it are a little nod to my personal culture, and those are little like Ethiopian beads that we put in our braids. And then, fun things like the belt came and had silver bullets, and I was like, can you spray paint them gold? And they're like, yeah, let's just go all the way in. So
you had to match.
Yeah, you had to match. So it's like all of the goodness of the comic book Half Helmet Gold, and a woman's never played Guardian, so honoring the fact that she's feminine and not covering that, and having it very fit and much more sleek than the cargo of the Guardians before. And then little fun notes like the gold in the hair and the braids and the makeup we played and did fun stuff with. So it felt very personal to me, and I loved it. And again, some of the fans were like, "Oh, it kind of has like a Guardian Bumblebee vibe," and I was like, "Yeah, that was the point. There's a little nod."
That's really, really cool. Well, and you're the second Guardian on the show. Kelly's brother James was the original Guardian. So we were curious, what are the differences that you think are the differences between James's Guardian and Kelly's Guardian?
I just think that he was almost robotic, even in the voice that he did and in his movements and in his costume. It was like steel, silver steel. Oh, there's a picture of us both. Oh. And I really wanted it to be, and actually when we were designing the suit in LA, they flew down his suit and we had it on a mannequin. And so a lot of the shoulder stuff is the same, but it's just so much streamlined down. I also had the benefit of knowing all the issues with his suit from his stunt double. So I was able to avoid a lot of the logistic issues. Like, as you can see, somebody think that I want a good cat eye, but it was really like I knew sight lines were a problem with doing stunts. And so I was able to integrate a lot of the things that made his suit really complicated in terms of doing stunts. I avoided them with my own. And I had Kyler and Nicole give me tips on, being able to eat lunch and use a bathroom. And so I like to think that my suit was the most functional because I learned from everyone else's mistakes and integrated all the small things you would never think about into it, thanks to them.
Oh, that's really smart. I also like to think like within the show, like Kelly got the shield and the helmet and decided to just jazz it up. You guys have seen the episode, right?
Yes.
So the scene with Brainy and Kelly is very much almost, I just wrote it identical to Jesse and I. Like when I found out I was Guardian, I asked him and he was like, I was waiting for this moment. And he had literally color swatches that he had already put in a folder ready for me because he's such a big comic book fan. And I forwarded it all to our wardrobe girl and she was like, did you do this? And I was like, no, Jesse has been planning this for months of his life. For this moment.
I mean, he had a mood board for you already.
Yeah. And he was like, this is our conversation. I was like, yeah. So he jazzed it up himself. He was
amazing.
Yeah. He's like, these are ways the helmet can work. Here's like Captain America. He sent sample images and yeah.
That's awesome. It's very helpful to have Jesse around because he does know his stuff. That's very cool. Yeah, it does seem like Kelly's eyes are a little, the helmet has the eye slits are a little different and maybe a little easier to see in. So that's cool that you all took the opportunity to make improvements on the suit. And one of the things that's been really interesting about Kelly in season 6 is that she's taken on a new job. She's now a social worker and she has bonded with some of the people in National City in the Heights and specifically with little Joey and little Esme, who are really cute. So what do you like about that aspect of Kelly as her time as a social worker and her feelings of responsibility to those people?
It's stories that we wanted to tell, and it felt most organic and natural to tell it through these guest stars and use Kelly as a light to highlight issues. I would have felt really inauthentic to all of a sudden focus on a struggle that Kelly was having when we hadn't really done that in years. So it was a beautiful way to tell stories that we felt needed to be told through some brilliant actors and many of them very cute actors that I loved working with, which you think working with children would be hard, but those kids were amazing. are amazing. And, you know, when you're hearing stories, you sometimes open your heart, but when they're in the form of like Aiden and Mila, who play the two young kids, it's impossible to not hear them speak and not have your heart open up. And so they felt like the perfect vessels for Kelly to kind of focus her goodwill towards, and for the audience of them, which, as I've seen online, people really fall in love with them like I did.
So this next question is going to be kind of akin to that, but I guess it needs a little setup. So I don't know if you are aware of some of, it seems like you know about Mal Duncan's Guardian history, but Guardian the Comics has a little team of kids who help him called the Newsboy Legion. I'm not sure if you're aware, but they're kind of like a ragtag group of kids who he sort of adopts, and they're kind of street kids, and they help him out with all of his missions, and they're sort of like his confidential informants on the street. And so we at Supergirl Radio have formed a very big attachment to the Newsboy Legion. We love the Newsboy Legion, and we have been wanting to see if maybe Kelly with maybe some of these kids in the Heights could develop a relationship and form a Newsgal Legion. Do you think that's maybe something that's possible?
I love that. I don't think that they thought of that. But I think that's cool. But the kids do. I guess there's a version of that. Because their storyline continues. Oh, this is so cool. I love that I can see all the imagery.
I like that they have membership cards, I think is really important.
Yes. That's so good. And member numbers, like number 49.
It's very official. It's an official organization.
I think this is a spinoff I didn't realize I needed.
I feel like Kelly is a very organized person and would actually give everybody a number, you know, just keep track of them.
I feel like Kelly's big into unionizing and ID cards. Yes, this totally feels like up her alley. If I'm honest, I don't think it was intentional, but these kids do play a big part, and they're not just guest stars; they're recurs. So they will continue to exist, and they are a big part of Kelly's story. So I guess there's a version of that.
That's very cool. Kelly's origin as Guardian on the show is actually very comic booky. It's you mentioned Mal Duncan, but it also has some Jim Harper in there, who was the original Guardian back when Guardian was created. And I think there's a little bit of Jake Jordan in there. Jake Jordan had a lot to do with like the newspapers in his city. So you as Kelly have ties to Catco and the worldwide media there. So I think you have a little bit of Jake Jordan in there as well.
Yeah, and there is some of that inspo in his costume as well with mine. You can kind of tell, but yeah, the helmet, that image that you just actually pulled up was one of the ones on the board to try to match our helmet. And actually, what I just realized is he also has a good cat eye too. He does. You needed your peripheral and your side. You know, you don't realize these things until you're fighting, but that you actually someone coming up behind you. But I do feel like the shield and the helmet is a pretty accurate version of ours, as much as you can.
Yeah, I think y'all did a pretty good job of being faithful to the comics, and I think the Newsgal Legion is just right behind. I feel like that's a good addition. We're just going to assume that the Newsgal Legion is going to be
out there, and then it's me and the kids.
Yeah,
out in the streets. That would
Kelly's laminating those cards as we speak.
Yeah. Yep.
And so you also wrote this episode. You're a co-writer on this episode. So what was that process like, especially as an actor on the show? How did that go with those double duties?
It was great. Initially, I had, I think, like 3 or 4 episodes off so that I could, earlier in the first, it's weird now because the seasons are split up so much. But there was a chunk of the first half that I wasn't in, and I was in the writer's room. So I did a month in the writer's room from 10 to 5 every single day. And we broke episodes 9, 10, and 12, so the whole arc together. And then, as you know, with the episode essentially that I co-wrote is a different perspective of the episode before. So we worked with the writers of 11 to see what they were doing and then do our version of it. It was amazing. And being in the writer's room was really great. And then breaking off and being able to write the episode was really incredible. I am an actor, so a lot of it was me recording voice notes into my phone and then transcribing it later, imagining the scenario and imagining, the best part is that I've now been on the show for a number of years. So I had a pretty good idea of what I thought, Kyler or Alex or Mel or Supergirl or how they would respond. And so I tried to, I was like in my apartment in Vancouver alone having arguments with myself into my voice note. And then I would transcribe it into a scene and then do passes and then talk it to them and see what felt accurate and fair. But I loved it. And I joined the room at the end of the year, and then I went back to Vancouver to start filming. And when we were doing passes, it was winter. So there was something really lovely about like being at home when it was raining and deep diving. And it was emotional. Like I definitely probably cried more writing some of these scenes than when I acted in them, because it felt so personal to me and my experience. And it was I think this is the most that I come through as Kelly, and that's in the power of having the opportunity to co-write the episode and have such it gave me so much responsibility. I got to be a part of every aspect, from casting to wardrobe to set design to location scouting with Ramsey. I mean, it was like this episode's my baby, I feel like. So I don't know how you go back to just acting after something like this. All these nuggets in the episode, and the Ethiopian restaurant I come out of has my mom's name on it, and because she just wanted to have her own restaurant. And then the Ormfeld building is named after Jackie Orms, who's one of the first Black comic book writers. And so there are these little fun nuggets I'm going to share on social, but I try to put a lot of thoughtfulness into the details of this episode. So I hope people love the little eggs and appreciate the episode.
We always appreciate Easter eggs. So thank you for putting that extra effort into the scripts, into the show. We have a game called Snap Judgments, named after Snapper Carr. And it's just a really quick game. We'll play a little video intro that will explain the rules, and then we'll get back and we'll play the game. In the game of Snap Judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended, and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay, your first snap judgment is, if you had to work one of Kelly Olsen's jobs, which would you prefer to do? Be a social worker or use Obsidian North tech to help people with their trauma?
I mean, honestly, I want to work at Obsidian Tech, because that was the most awful set ever. If I was a better person, I would say be a social worker, because those are the real superheroes. But every time I walked, I was devastated when they tore down that set. It was the most sci-fi, cool, sleek environment ever. I would work at Obsidian in a heartbeat. Even knowing what I know now, I would.
It's a very fancy set. You did have to log a lot of IT tickets, though.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. I loved the brain. I loved all of it.
Yeah, I think I would maybe do the Obsidian Tech too. They did have some VR mind control issues though that they had to deal with. So, but I think the tech part would be cool.
I'm gonna also go with that, because I feel like they probably have like free bagel Fridays. And
that kitchen was stacked. That place was so fancy. Yeah.
Okay. Our last snap judgment is, if you could take one piece of the Guardian suit home with you, would you rather take the helmet or the shield?
The shield, just because the helmet was like, by the end you're like this. It's not the most comfortable thing. I love that shield. It felt like second skin to me in the end. Like when we had fight scenes, if I didn't have, sometimes you don't have the shield because the idea is that it's they're gonna CGI it opening later, and I always felt so naked without it. It felt, and especially because I did a lot of fight training. Again, because we had so much time knowing I was going to be Guardian, I did a lot of time with our stunt team at their facilities, and most of my stunt training was with my shield. So any kind of action stuff without it feels bare, and it feels like another limb. So I love that shield so much. I sometimes will just go back to my caster and I'll forget I have it with me, and they'll come get it. But that shield is a part of me. Where the helmet, I was always very aware when it was on, and the minute we would cut, I would be like ripping it off. It's like a sound chamber in there,
Yeah, the shield is so cool. I would totally take the shield.
Yeah, I think the shield's a no-brainer.
Right? Helmet's cool, but like, where would you really,
You can use the shield for all kinds of things, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The sun,
Rain.
rain, bird poop.
It's a shield for all seasons, really, is the thing.
If you're feeling shy and you want a private moment, like if you're out, I don't know. I feel like the shield might be the new purse for women.
Nice.
I like it. Somebody's annoying talking to you at a party, just right in front. You're done.
No judgments on your snap judgments. All right, well, Azie, I think we're out of time, but thank you so much for hanging out with us and playing our silly snap judgment game. So thank you for what you do and for representing Kelly Olsen and Guardian so well. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thanks for supporting the show.
Well, that is going to do it for our time with Azie. We'd like to thank Azie Tesfai and her team for giving us a few minutes of her time to talk about Kelly Olsen and Guardian and the Newsgal Legion. And as a reminder, Blind Spots, the episode she wrote, and also has a big feature on Kelly Olsen becoming Guardian. This is Guardian's debut. So Blind Spots is airing Tuesday, September 21st at 9/8 Central on the CW. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon, and we look forward to seeing more from National City's Guardian Angel.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.